Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Thursday, September the 18th, 2025. We got some bad news today from Universal Ostrich Farm, and we're going to get into that with Katie Pasitny at the farm in just a couple of minutes. I want to do the hellos quickly tonight so that I don't forget to do them later. Hello, Dog Mom on Rumble, Sask, Patty, Arnie, Amazing Faces in Langford, British Columbia. Welcome to the show tonight. Over on YouTube, Heather is watching in Edmonton. On Facebook, Michael, Cheryl, Linda, Nancy. Derek is watching in Kamloops tonight. Tony is watching from Calgary on X tonight. Chris, Linda, Kathy, Mireille, Nancy, Mickey, Ken, Barb, John, Blake, Patty's in Haddishville. Shelley, hello. Deborah's watching tonight. Donnie from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Jeannie is watching in Calgary. Hello, Paul and Sharon, Wayne, Debbie, Mike, Barbara, Linda, Patricia, Iris in Morden, Manitoba. Wherever you are, you guys, and whatever platform you happen to be watching on, it is very important tonight of all nights, and I know I've said that before, but the news keeps getting more intense, doesn't it? Tonight of all nights that you share this. We need as many people as possible to hear this message tonight. We'll be right back with Katie Pasitny from Universal Ostrich Farm. The Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Today we're comparing Crest toothpaste to SilverCeuticals toothpaste. First, we're starting out with Crest. It's a classic, it's an original, it's what I've used most of my life. But that being said, it does have its problems. First off, the consistency is so weird and thick, and I get it's a paste, but it really doesn't spread that well. And I must also say that I'm not in love with the taste. I get toothpaste isn't supposed to taste good, but why shouldn't it? But that being said, it does get the job done. Next we have SilverCeuticals. They have 3 flavors, but today we're going with Bubbleberry. And already it smells so good. So I'm excited to see what this tastes like. The consistency is also a lot smoother, and I must say it spreads way nicer in your mouth.
This literally tastes like fruit bubblegum.
Yeah, this toothpaste was pretty good. I actually went in for seconds, and it's infused with nano silver, so it helps remineralize your teeth and keep them fresh throughout the day.
100% go with SilverCeuticals.
And here's the results. What's your favorite toothpaste?
CanadaNanoSilver.com, 204-808-9292. That is CanadaNanoSilver.com. Hello, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm all right. The question is, how are you? How's your mom? How's your family? How's everybody doing?
How's your family? We're holding in there. I want to say thank you to you for your ongoing support and covering these really hard topics, because without you and people like you, we wouldn't have the people that have shown up. You've been a really good voice and visited the farm. You've spent time with these animals, and you yourself know exactly how healthy they look and how healthy they are. But this has just taken more of a mental war game. You know, it's a psychological warfare on a family that's trying to do the right thing. And so, yeah, we're doing okay. We're holding in there. And we're really just hoping that we're going to see a lot of support pour into the farm this weekend.
Hopefully you're right about that. And we're going to get into the news in case people haven't heard in just a second. But I want to talk about this helicopter incident a couple of nights ago. I played the video of it on the show last night, highlighting the spotlights of the helicopters that flew over. And you could tell from the shadows along the trees how low they were. There was 2 of them, right? And your friend said they were Euros?
Yeah. And we'll go off how low they were flying and what it caused, actually. So we found a bird that it caused havoc on the farm. The birds were running. They were, anxious. It's when they bed down. It's when they feel safe, and they kind of herd around each other and sleep in groups. And they were panicked. They were hitting fences, and we do have a rooster that ended up hitting the fence and breaking his neck. So those helicopters were flying extremely low, caused havoc on the farm, anxiety amongst everybody. It was it's a mental strategy. It's a warfare. It's it adds that level of anxiousness, that risk, that uncertainty. Are they coming tonight? Are they coming in the morning? Are they coming with helicopters and army?
Is that Dave there? Is he standing there talking?
No, I'm sorry. And he shouldn't have been out here. It's somebody else helping at the farm. That's Tim.
We appreciate all the help, Tim, but
yeah,
dude.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Tim. This is a shout out to Tim.
Anyway, I'm sorry, you were saying.
So it did. So that low flying caused havoc on the birds, and we do have a death of a bird in resulting to that. We don't know. The RCMP they say that it was a flight school. That's what they're claiming, that Ben, our liaisons that were coming to do those wellness checks, Shadow, you were here for one of those,
Yeah.
that he says that they were doing, there was a flight school, nighttime flying, night vision thing. But it just sounded, like I said to the RCMP officer, I said, you can't tell me that, this flight school is training 135 kilometers away from a major city, conveniently flying over some of the most controversial animals right now internationally, and then
At
shining
100 feet off the ground too, right? Like, come on, that's not a training exercise.
No, this is not a training exercise. They did not pop up on any of those maps, the apps that you can have for the radar apps. They didn't pop up on that. We made complaints into the operations aviation, I guess, organization. We've had a couple complaints into them, have had nothing back. So anyways, they're sticking to that story. I don't believe it for a minute. And I think what we're finding here is we're really on our own. And then, by chance, it comes out that they were here 2 days or 3 days prior to when they're supposed to be coming in and moving in this weekend to kill. So I think it just, even that in its own, all in itself is a little bit too convenient. But
so you can't rely on the police because they're lying to you. That's a bald-faced lie. Anybody could tell that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't rely on the courts because they won't allow information.
No. They won't look at it. Any of our reconsideration material that we've submitted, Canadian Food Inspection Agency is not acknowledging that material. We've been working really hard, Omar, our lawyer, to put in the leave of Supreme Court, and attached to that would be another emergency stay order. But in our last federal court of appeal decision, the Judge Hickson, kind of cleaned that up. So he made it almost that if we did apply, we wouldn't get approved if we applied for an emergency stay order. And if we applied for a leave of Supreme Court, we're not going to get approved for that either. So he kind of cleaned it up within his answers. But we're still going to go for it because it's our legal right. We have the right to apply for Supreme Court, at least. This does hold international interest, this case. We have RFK and Dr. Oz and
now,
the Trump
are asking today, and this is a question that's been asked and answered a million times, but I suppose it's worth answering again. Why don't you move them? I answered it today to somebody on social media, but please go ahead.
Well, if the United States of America can't get authority to move them, we can't move them. We are under quarantine, and we are under strict quarantine measures. If these animals are moved, it's just a whole different slew of fines. And we have always wanted to do this with, taking the most legal avenues possible, to doing the right thing. We thought that we would be able to go through the courts. We thought we would be able to have our case heard properly. We thought we would be able to have the best opportunity at taking this, doing
which dog is that?
That's Buster.
Buster. He's the one that bit me, isn't he?
Yeah, don't touch Buster. They always say, don't touch the black dog. But what this is, we're undermining public trust. And when government agencies are allowed to regulate themselves without their external accountability, they operate with excessive freedom, no accountability.
Let me ask you something. We've talked about the CFIA and their overreach and no accountability.
Yeah.
But the courts, the police, they're all in on it, it seems. Your lawyer, Omar.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a conversation with him about this situation? Has he ever seen anything like this before in all of his years?
No, this is absurd. So here we have the trading partner policies offering the organizations of the organizations of the NIH, FDA, the collaboration, RFK acknowledging these animals are healthy, that they hold way more value alive than they do dead. And Canadian Food Inspection Agency is just silent. The Canadian government has silent. Mark Carney's, the whole team knows about this. We have heard nothing about anything from Mark Carney. We have no political party taking any any grounding or stance with this. Where we have our MLAs, MP Scott Anderson, Jordan Keeley. We have David Williams. We've had Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong. We've had some amazing MLAs and MPs standing up, but nothing from, say, Pierre Poilievre or David Eby. I think as much as David Eby has went out to say is that he's frustrated that this shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all solution. So, this has went on 9 months, 247 days, healthy animals, no testing, no visits from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency for over 6 months. There's been no soil samples. There's been no water samples. There's been nothing. There's been no trying to work together. If this was about the international trade, it would be as easy as testing these animals and deeming them clear. And then we could have been avian influenza free in our zone 9 months ago.
I'll tell you that after this is over, this coming weekend, we're going to get to this in a second, and hopefully something happens. Something good. Then somebody will come out and say this was wrong. This should never have happened. But it'll
absolutely. Let's call it now. 100%. For sure, Shadow. You know that somebody's going to be like, "Yeah, no, we made a mistake. We're going to step up and we're going to make sure that this never happens again." But we're going to stuck in a precedence war at Universal Ostrich Farms, and this should be ground zero for change. And that policy that's going to be, presented to every other farmer. I said this policy is coming to a farm near you. If you don't think that this same policy that we're fighting here for our livestock is not going to be showing up at your door or show up at your neighbor's door, you're wrong. And that's all we've been trying to do here is set a precedent, a healthy precedent that, policy isn't law. Policy is meant to evolve. As we very much know, mandates aren't law. Mandates are, and here we sit. We're just trying to do the right thing and challenge something that we have every right to challenge.
You're right when you say coming for a farm near you. There's a Hutterite colony that sells chickens in Saskatchewan. Somebody messaged me the other day and said they've been shut down because of avian flu. We're not sure if they're going to get culled, but probably.
Oh, the stamping out. It's the stamping out policy has to stop. And we're about to make one of the biggest mistakes in Canadian history here at Universal Ostrich Farms or on this farm if this goes through. And we have the opportunity within the hours that we have left, the days that we have left, to stop that mistake from happening. And we need to somehow stop it. I don't know how yet. I'm trying, but we need to stop it. So
this is Thursday, the 18th of September.
Yeah.
You heard earlier today, our phone call this afternoon. I guess you had just heard at that point from a very reliable source that they're coming on Saturday.
Yeah, the kill, the slaughter, the mass slaughter is supposed to happen Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They talk about it, it's just a weekend thing, and they'll be finishing up the kill on Monday, like it's nothing, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We don't know what this looks like with if they're going to try and have us removed, which they've kind of made it clear that they're going to. Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they've never been filmed doing one of their cullings. They've never had.
Let me just ask you this.
Yeah.
They have, we've covered this before, but for those people that don't know, they have the authority to remove you and the family, the owners of the property, from the property while they do this. Where are you supposed to go?
I don't know if we're going to be detained for the time being because we are.
Detained where? In a jail cell?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't make that clear, but we had RCMP here again today, making it very clear that he suggests that we do not resist. And this is the problem. This organization is operating under, they are untouchable. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has made it so that they themselves, you can't sue them, you can't come back at them. They operate with their own audits. They have their own, they don't have a third party audit. They do their own independent audits. Nothing. They can come based off suspicion and come to your farm. It doesn't stop. They can just make up the rules as they go. And that's all we've been trying to point out to everybody. Pay attention, because what is happening here, it's like you just said, Shadow, this is happening to farmers all across Canada, and it's putting us in a serious position.
It sounds like a rogue agency, Katie. I mean,
it's such a rogue agency. I've been trying on every video, anything I've ever been on, I've been trying to say, hey, we still want to collaborate. Canadian Food Inspection Agency, it's a very, very important organization, and it holds a very important role in Canada. However, it has eroded the trust between Canadians and this organization, which is putting Canadians more at risk than ever, because Canadians can't rely on this organization to call them if they have something wrong, without the fear that they're going to lose every animal on their property, their property rights, and their rights. So
you've been told also that because of the fight you've put up, and maybe this isn't the way it was worded, that you're not going to be compensated at all by CFIA for this, are you?
That's right. We're in non-compliance. So because we will not allow them to just come in and kill them, because we're fighting for justice, we're fighting between right and wrong, we're fighting to just prove the health of our animals, that we will not get compensated. So remember too, this was a $3,000 per bird they gave us, but this $3,000 per bird is based off chickens, ducks, geese, and turkeys. There is nothing in there that actually lists ostrich, rhea, emus. So I don't even know how we're coming to this compensation agreement. There's been none signed. The compensation that was offered to us was when we were, to be in compliant before February 1st, when they told us that we had to kill all our own animals by our own hand. And then again, we could have been in compliance if we don't keep taking them to court. Then we're in compliance, right? Comply or die. Like it's if you don't, So if we would have just rolled over and let them just steamroll us like they've done to many other farms in Canada, then we would have got a little bit of a payout. And guess what? Then this has all been worth it. And that's what we said. This isn't about the money. We don't want a settlement at this like that. This isn't about the settlement money. This is about changing policy to protect farmers all across Canada and preserve our rights and to preserve livelihoods.
Is it become frustrating though, Katie? I mean, like you say that every time you're on, and I'm sure you say that with all of the other shows that you're on. This is to protect other farmers, but they won't stand up with you. And that's got to be galling, frustrating.
So frustrating. But we do know that within the Poultry Association, they make money. You make money off compensation because they're a broiler chicken. They're even if it's like a 1-year-old chicken they're compensating at a way less young age or at a younger age, because those chickens are, say, contracting, or what they say they have, avian influenza at a probably about 6 months worth of age. So the farmers are getting compensated extremely well, and they make money on this. So we have to make
maybe they might actually try to get H5N1 in their flock so they can make money. I wonder if any of them have ever done that.
Shadow, they don't have to. They don't have to. Somebody could just call Canadian Food Inspection Agency and say, I think I have H5N1, and they'll just come in and kill everything.
Yeah, that'll be the end of it.
You don't need tests to get
compensated.
So we're sitting here, you're right. It's a scary time for our whole family, and it's a scary time for everybody who's fallen in love with these animals.
Saturday, they're going to be rolling in. Do you know how many of them? I would imagine. Now, these CFIA hires an outside group for this, don't they?
They do. Yeah. As you know, on Global News and other statements that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has made, that they've threatened us that they will come in when they want. They're going to do this how they want.
Katie, you're breaking up. You're breaking up badly. We need to hear everything.
Again,
hold on. You're breaking up very badly. We need to hear everything you're saying. If you can get everybody else off the internet right now, because they're draining it.
Okay.
And move a little bit closer, that would be cool, because what you're saying right now is important. We need to hear it.
Okay, and let me just do this. Sorry, Shadow, can you still see me? Can you hear me?
You're a blur, but we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, just one moment. Let me.
I mean, I'm yellow tonight, so I don't know why I'm yellow, you guys, but I'm yellow, so I apologize. I don't know what happened. I'm a little more yellow than normal.
I think this might work better. Just bear with me. Is that better?
Frozen solid. We could hear you, and we've got a blurry picture of you.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway.
Oh, is that okay.
We'll just deal with what we have, I suppose.
I'm sorry. I hope it clears up.
We know you're in a remote location, and the internet is not easy there. And I know that firsthand. So we were talking about the goons coming in this weekend. CFIA hires outside agencies. Do we know where these guys are based from, or is it just a loose group of guys who like killing things?
Is that better? Okay.
It's a little better.
Sorry. I think I'm back.
Did you hear the question that I just asked?
No, I didn't. I apologize. I can hear you.
That's okay. So I was just talking about the people who are going to be coming in to do the killing this weekend. CFIA hires outside agencies. Do we know if they hire? Is there a group of people they hire, like from an agency, or is it a loose group of people who like killing things?
Right. Well, I think that obviously you have to be a weird loose group of people that likes killing things to possibly work for the organization that's going to come. But there is a company called Integra. That is one of the companies that has been used in multiple poultry cullings. We don't know if it's them that have been hired. We're waiting to hopefully find out that information before they come, because it would be wonderful to be able to ask them, to ask them to stop. Think about this twice before they show up here to create one of the biggest mistakes in Canadian history. But it is a third-party vendor. Canadian Food Inspection Agency, it usually never shows up. A vet is usually never present for the killing. They did say that a vet will be present this time. I do remember hearing them make a comment to one of the mainstream media agencies. And then they, so we don't know how they're going to do it. We don't know who they're going to use. We don't know the real fine details of this. But the fact that they are still coming with no testing off 6 months or 9 months, no testing off our ostriches is absurd. I mean, this
is going to go on over 3 days, according to your source. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as you pointed out. Is it like a 24-hour day thing where they're just going to be killing, or are they going to take breaks?
No,
or are they going to leave the farm, or are they going to sleep in your bed, or like what is going on here? This sounds completely and totally absurd.
Yeah. The minute that they walk in here with their hazmat suits into those pens, there's going to be complete panic of these animals that our hands have touched for 35 years. Complete panic. They really bond to the people that they trust. They feel safe. They recognize my mom, Dave. They recognize features. And when they come in with white hazmat suits, it's going to be nothing but panic. And you can imagine what these animals are going to go through for 3 days. It's going to be something that none of us should ever want to imagine. And this could all be stopped by testing them to prove their health. I can't get that through to everybody enough. We just need to test them. And then this wouldn't have we would have no problems with international trade. This wouldn't have a problem with our trading partner policies, in which what they want to say that we do have, which we don't. And then this new virulent threat, right? So they're saying that they're doing this because we have this new virulent threat, the worst kind of avian influenza in Canada. Well, when did they test them? What are we going off of? When did they test them? So
they didn't. They're going off those ridiculous PCR tests. Dr. Pellick told us last week that they still haven't revealed the cycle rate they ran those tests at. So if it was higher than 26, chances are good they're false positives.
I believe it did come through now, and it's 40. It is 40.
They ran it at 40.
40 cycles. Yeah. There's another Fraser Valley farm ran at 39. Remember that Fraser Valley farm, 39 cycles. He didn't have his compensation yet. All of his animals were killed, and he had no lab results. This is how our farmers are just think that this is what they have to do. They're just think that this is normal. This can't become normal, or we have a massive problem.
So you're asking, and this is something that you said to me on the phone this afternoon.
Yeah.
You're asking people to come.
If you have been waiting this whole time, I know that we've had our SOSs, but those were in open call order times, and they were justifiably, we asked for people to be here. And then we were blessed with an emergency stay order, but that is still where we still had legal channels, different options to be able to take. Right now, we are at the end. We are at the last stand of this battle. And if you have been waiting to come here, you've been saving up your money and you didn't know when you were going to come, this is the time. We need you at Universal Ostrich Farms at 301 Langill Road, Langille Road, Edgewood, British Columbia. And we need you here to stand up for our agricultural sector, to stand up with us in solidarity for our animals, for the animals and the farmers that have dedicated their lives to providing nutritional food for us for generations. And they still want to provide nutritional food for us for generations to come. We need to stand up, stand together for our property rights, livelihoods, and our animal rights. This is a time when we need to come together in unity. So please come stand with our family. And we're not asking, this is not a protest or a gathering of violence. This is all to be done in peace, but we're asking for everybody to film. This has to be filmed. The world is watching, and the world is going to continue to watch what happens at Universal Ostrich Farms because of what this means. What this means, and
those community outreach officers today, did they give you any hints as to what they may do if they encounter any resistance?
No. I mean, there's been talk of arrests. There's been talk of arrests. So we're not asking anybody to put themselves in harm's way or put themselves in the way of being arrested. If you're asked to leave, and please cooperate. If you in whatever manner you choose to, if you want to stay but you're out of their way and you can still film, please do so. This is a very important part. We have different properties. Make it very clear the ostrich property is a completely different property than our home. And so we should be able to very easily stay out of the way and film what is going to be one of the biggest mistakes, like I say, in Canadian history, is killing these animals. So it's going to be...
What does the order actually say, Katie? Because people are overwhelmed and completely aghast that these people can just come onto your property and do this. Mm-hmm. And you have no say in the matter. And they can also have you removed from the property, apparently.
Yeah.
But now you're saying that because it's a separate property, the ostriches versus where your home is, they can't touch you there.
Well, they can't. We're talking about the people, the supporters, right? So they may, if we are going to intervene, if we are going to cause, because obviously we're an emotional influence to what's going to happen, is our sorry, I'm so angry, but I'm obviously really upset. These are our family. We've grown up. I've grown up with these animals. They've grown up with me. We go out there and you touch them and you spend one day with them and you see the world looking back at you in their big, beautiful eyes, and they're dancing in the sunshine. We want it filmed. We want everybody to know. And these animals are negative. These animals do not have this new virulent threat. That virulent threat they tested off the 2 PCR tests in December 2024. So they've been allowed to continue testing off those PCR tests for the last 9 months to come up with whatever was going to be sufficient to justify their actions in the long run. But we can't test our own animals to prove their health.
I think it's time for a prayer.
Yeah, please.
Psalm 34:17, 20. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones. Not one of them is broken. Amen.
Rise up, Canada. Come stand with us because we deserve this win. We really deserve this win.
This is terrorism, what they did to you the other night, and this is terrorism, what they've been doing to you, psychological terrorism for the past 9 or 10 months. And, you know, I know there's a lot of problems in our country, Katie. I know there's a lot of things that are going on that are so wrong. But you guys have made this stand, and you deserve every single shred of support that you get, just from people being there, just from showing up, giving you a hug, hanging out, standing with you. And I hope that hundreds show up in the next couple of days to help you in this.
Thank you. I do too. We all deserve this, Canada. This is a win, not just for our ostrich farm. This is a win for every farmer in Canada. We need to really come together right now. And if the people's voice matters, and let's take this to the court of the people's opinion. And we need to show that together we can make change.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too, Shadow.
Talk to you again.
Bye.
We'll be right back, you guys. There's a lot of problems in this country right now. And we are dangerously close to having a rogue government. That means a government that operates outside of its own laws. A government that operates unto itself without caring about its people. And that's why they have to use fear and force to intimidate. This has been going on for quite some time. Most prevalent at Freedom Convoy 2022, and now at Universal Ostrich Farm in Edgewood, British Columbia. I urge you, if you're in the area, even if you're not, go there. There's a guy called John Bolton. He has a podcast. I think he's primarily on YouTube. And I saw something fascinating he did. You know how guys have been asking Chat GPT and Grok, you know, if you wanted to take over a country from within, how would you do it? Well, John did a version of that with Chat GPT for Canada only, putting some very specific parameters in place and asking for the end result. And here it is.
Two things. But I thought I'd go to Chat GPT and list a lot of other things together that the Liberal government is doing and find out what the end game is here. Can you explain to me a government that seems to be consciously causing the following list of issues and tell me what the end game might be? Impose strict gun control, remove the right to self-defense and make it illegal, take control of the media, restrict movement of the public, limit free speech, run up massive government debt, control public education, drive up the cost of living, massively increase immigration, declare a crisis. And here's what ChatGPT had to say. The list you've given describes a government that isn't simply mishandling policy, but appears to be deliberately restructuring society to centralize power in its own hands. Each item weakens individual autonomy, strengthens state dominance, and destabilizes society in ways that make people more dependent on authority. Let's walk through it, then look at the likely endgame. Step by step. Number one, impose strict gun control, removes the most direct form of resistance, ensures the government has a monopoly on force. Number two, remove the right to self-defense and make it illegal. Criminalizes personal independence, forces people to rely exclusively on the state for protection. Number three, take control of the media. Controls what people see, hear, and believe, turns journalism into propaganda, prevents alternative narratives from spreading. 4. Restrict movement of the public, limits the ability to organize, protest, or escape, paves the way for surveillance systems, digital IDs, and travel restrictions. 5. Limit free speech, silences critics, instills fear in the population about speaking openly, leaves only state-approved messages visible. 6. Run up massive government debt, creates permanent economic instability, justifies higher taxes, inflation, or austerity, which increase control, transfers influence to elites and financial institutions aligned with the state. 7. Control public education, shapes future generations into obedient citizens, rewrites history and civics to fit state ideology, weakens family, cultural, or religious influence in favor of loyalty to government. 8. Drive up the cost of living, keeps people focused on survival rather than resistance, exhausts the middle class, making them easier to control. 9. Massively increase immigration, alters demographics and voting bases, creates social divisions and cultural friction, weakening unity, justifies expanding government bureaucracy and emergency policies. 10. Declare a crisis, allows suspension of rights and expansion of state powers, keeps the public fearful and compliant, justifies measures that would never be accepted under normal conditions. The end game, all of these together point to a clear destination. 1. Total self-centralization of power, political, economic, cultural, and social control is consolidated at the top. 2. Elimination of resistance. Citizens are disarmed, censored, tracked, and kept divided. 3. Dependence on the state. People must rely on government for security, income, education, and even the truth itself. 4. Rule by crisis. Emergency powers become permanent, ensuring the government can always expand its reach. The ultimate endgame is authoritarianism, a system where individual freedoms exist only when they don't threaten the regime. Sometimes this takes the form of soft totalitarianism, where people still think they're free, but every aspect of life is managed, or hard totalitarianism and open dictatorship. In either case, the goal is the same: control through dependency, fear, and division. What's happening right now are not the actions of a government that wants to govern for you. They're the actions of a government that wants to rule over you, to control you. Does this seem like the country you're living in right now? It sure seems that way to me.
He's a big advocate of Alberta independence, by the way. You should check him out. John Bolton. You can find him on YouTube. So I don't have any House of Commons clips for you today because there was one thing brought up in the House today, and that's they're talking about the notwithstanding clause, which is held in our Constitution, part of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Pierre Poilievre did have one real good zinger today, and I want you to listen to this. It's like 12 seconds long. The zinger is good. I'm going to play it a couple of times, but what else do you pick up from this 12-second exchange between a reporter, probably from the CBC, and Pierre Poilievre? Have a listen.
There's things to support, oppose them when necessary. When it comes to the budget, where are you going to land on that? Are you going to support it?
Which budget?
The one November 4th that was announced today.
Do you have a copy you can give me?
I don't,
Okay,
but
when you get one, then I'll answer your question.
are there anything that Poilievre...
Okay, so there's a reporter. Well, I'm not going to tell you. I want to hear what you have to say about it. It's a great zinger because there is no budget yet. Not until November 4th. So what do you guys get from that? Do I have to go to the Rumble comments? You're going to make me go to the Rumble comments? You think it's redundant? Oh, I see there's a fight going on in Rumble right now. Somebody is antagonizing the group over there. Ignore them. That's exactly what they're trying to do to you. Ignore that one person. Just ignore them. So there isn't going to be a budget, more hunger, more lost rights, more homeless, disdain for the reporter. Yeah, I would too. Okay, so that reporter is so indoctrinated on the left and under Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau's spell that she actually believes that Pierre Poilievre should approve the budget without even ever seeing it. That's the answer she was hoping to get from him today. And if he answered no, then she was going to try and do a gotcha moment on him. So his answer was absolutely fantastic. Let's watch this again and listen to the arrogance of this reporter.
There's things to support, oppose them when necessary. When it comes to the budget, where are you going to land on that? Are you going to support it?
Which budget?
The one
How can you even ask that if the budget is not out yet and won't be out for another month and a half? It's a stupid question.
November 4th that was announced today.
Do you have a copy you can give me?
I don't.
Okay,
But
when you get one, then I'll answer your question.
are there anything that Poilievre?
He should have disdain for that reporter. Absolutely, he should. It's a ridiculous question. But she is convinced that Pierre Poilievre must support the Liberal budget without even seeing it. Or else you're a bad right-wing extremist. That's how most of the media, corporate media, in this country feels about anybody conservative. Do you think they don't influence this country? They've been talking about it in the United States now, especially for the past week since Charlie Kirk has been shot. That the media has been absolutely trying to influence people for the past 10 years to think that anybody who is conservative is a Nazi or a fascist. Greg Gutfeld, a couple of days ago on The Five on Fox, let their new left-wing panel member have it. Watch this.
Fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this?
Dude, you're not calm. You're on the brink of boiling over. But anyway.
Because if you have to face the underlying fact of this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear. I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five since.
She's shaking. Jessica Tarloff is her name. She was a Democratic strategist, Democrat Party strategist, and now she's a panel member on Fox. Must be tough for her with all those Republicans around, but anyway, she is shaking, literally right now. Not with anger, but with fear, and I think a little bit of realization too.
Besides argument, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No, all that I was saying is
there.
We have all of the information before you just say they did this, because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid.
Let's have a conversation.
No,
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold, and I'm sorry. But this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on this story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead.
He apologized for his language later on, by the way, and for his near rage. Donald Trump commented on ABC's, what did they say? They've canceled or suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live until further notice, the immediate future. So Trump had a comment. We're going to get to that a little bit later on in the show tonight. So on the political menu in Canada today, this was a surprise to me because I hadn't heard about this at all. I went, what? They're talking about getting rid of the notwithstanding clause through the courts, which ironically, the notwithstanding clause is supposed to defend Canadians from the courts. So, of course, and I've said I want to get rid of the notwithstanding clause in the past, and I still believe the notwithstanding clause has got to go. And the Liberals are actually on my side with this because the notwithstanding clause works both ways. For a tyrannical government to cancel a judicial ruling and use the notwithstanding clause to go ahead and trample on people's rights anyway. The charter means nothing. But then sometimes the courts rule in favor of the Marxists, and so any rational, common sense thinking Canadian would use the notwithstanding clause to protect its citizens from the leftist ideologues in the court system, of which there are many. So Bill 21 is the issue. It's a Quebec bill to ban religious symbolism. Ottawa urges Supreme Court to review Quebec's use of the notwithstanding clause, which is ridiculous because Ottawa has no authority over the provinces in this matter. So they're trying to do it through the courts, which is despicable to me. Federal government urging the Supreme Court of Canada. Like they're interfering in a Supreme Court case? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Then again, they do have standing in this case, so they're allowed. They're urging the Supreme Court of Canada to clarify how far provinces can go in using the Constitution's notwithstanding clause, emphasizing the risk of eroding rights if the override is invoked too broadly or too often. So I want you to understand now. And by the way, David Eby was named by Mark Carney today as Canada's official ambassador to the United Nations. He was the justice minister during the Freedom Convoy. And he was talking with Marco Mendicino about tanks and text messages. Remember? And now he's our ambassador to the United Nations. This is incredible. The federal government, the tyrannical, liberal federal government, who stamped all over our rights during COVID and Freedom Convoy, and now with Universal Ostrich Farm. Remember, CFIA is a federal government agency, rogue, but still federal government. They're trampling over your property rights. They're trampling over your mobility rights. They are the ones who are trying to defend democracy, fairness, and freedom. That's a laugh. In a written argument filed yesterday as an intervener in a challenge to Quebec's Bill 21, Ottawa does not contest the secularism law directly. Instead, it outlines concerns about the notwithstanding clause invoked by the Coalition Avenir Quebec government in Bill 21. The federal government argues the top court must ensure the clause is not used to distort or annihilate constitutional rights and freedoms or to shrivel them beyond recognition. This is rich coming from the Liberals. The Supreme Court of Canada is preparing to hear an appeal over Bill 21, a case that's fueling friction between Premier François Legault and Mark Carney. On Thursday, today, the Legault government lashed out at the Carney Liberals, denouncing their position as an attack on Quebec and other provinces. Of course, that means the Liberals will have to back off, won't it? When Quebec talks, the federal government listens. The brief from Federal Attorney General Sean Fraser, and that's another laugh too. This guy's now the Attorney General. Oh my God. And the Minister of Justice. It's a walking, talking fuck up. So this brief emphasized that Ottawa takes no position on any basis whatsoever on the constitutional validity of Bill 21 adopted in 2019. Yet he cautioned that the growing use of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms notwithstanding clause by Quebec and some other provinces makes it necessary to consider the constitutional limits on such invocations. Again, I'm sorry, but for them to be considering the constitutionality of the notwithstanding clause in the courts is ridiculous. The courts, I already said that. Quebec invoked the clause to shield Bill 21 from constitutional challenges. The clause allows governments to override some fundamental rights, not all of the sections of the Charter, but some, including freedom of religion, expression, and association, and equality rights. In its 65-page brief, the federal government argues that the exceptional and limited power conferred by the clause justifies and requires a court to assess the constitutionality of its use. It's in the Constitution. They can use it whenever they want, and it expires after 5 years. That is their prerogative to do so. That is one thing in our Constitution that is black and white. There is no argument over this. They got to get rid of it, and Section 1 of the Charter as well. But there's no black and white about it. Or, sorry, there's no gray about it. It's all black and white. The court remains guardians of the Constitution and may the government should be guardians of the Constitution. The people ultimately should be guardians of the Constitution. The last line of defense. But they say the court remains the guardians of the Constitution and may consider the compliance of any statute with the Constitution. Under Bill 21, Quebec government employees deemed to be in a position of authority, including teachers, police officers, and judges, are forbidden from wearing religious symbols like hijabs, the Jewish kippah, the Sikh turban, and the Christian cross while on the job. Bill 21, critics argue the law is discriminatory, with some suggesting it disappropriately affects Muslim women who wear head coverings. So let's talk about Muslims for just a second here, because I saw a very, very disturbing video today. Let me see if I can find it. Haley Carney has taken over, at least partly, some of Dan Bongino's social media channels. Not a violent takeover. Dan said, "Hey, Haley, you're good. I want you to do my show while I'm gone." And there's another guy who does some of it as well. She ran a video today on her show about the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, who's a Muslim. This is what's happening. And this is going to happen in New York City unless the people there wake up. It's already happening in Canada. Not necessarily with Muslims, or maybe it is happening with Muslims and all of these Indian immigrants, legal or not, temporary or permanent, are just a smokescreen for that. I don't know. But listen to this. This is incredible.
Mayor of Dearborn, Michigan wants a white resident to move out after voicing concerns about a road being named in honor of Osama Siblani, a journalist who has voiced sympathy for, get this, terrorist groups Hamas and Hezbollah. Watch this.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel that's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe, and although you live here, I want you to know, as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city.
He's going to launch a parade when a white man moves out of Dearborn, Michigan. That is because the man who is speaking there is Ted Barham. He's a Christian resident in Dearborn, Michigan, which is now majority Muslim. And the sitting mayor, who's supposed to care about all all of his constituents, not just the Muslim ones, clearly doesn't care. He clearly wants this to be a full majority, I would say. And the stance of the mayor is that if you don't support honoring a terror sympathizer, then you shouldn't even live in Dearborn, Michigan. Now, I am not anti-immigration by any means, but I am anti-immigration without assimilation. Because if these people want Americans to bend to their cultural standards, they need to remember what country they are in. This isn't a takeover. Immigration isn't supposed to be a takeover. They're supposed to want to come here and live here, uphold American ideals and values. This is not the American way. We are anti-terrorism, and that shouldn't be a controversial thing.
No, it shouldn't. But that's what happens when you allow millions and millions and millions of unchecked immigrants, no matter what status, what legal status they're under, temporary foreign workers, refugees, student visas, whatever it is. Whatever it is, there's too many. And when that many come in, they have no need to assimilate to the host country's culture. Not even a little bit. I run into it more and more personally every single day. There's people working in service jobs. They cannot speak English. They cannot communicate with me or you because they don't speak English. French, whatever. They don't speak our language. They don't care. They don't care. And they don't practice the language at home because now there's so many of them. They speak their own language in the groups they hang out with, the social groups. When they're not at work, they're hanging out with their own people who are freshly here as well from wherever. And they're ghettoized into their own cultures. Rarely do they run across an actual native Canadian, and they don't have to run across native Canadians anymore because the system caters to them. Now, if I had an immigrant on here, a refugee, a temporary student, foreign worker, whatever, they'd probably contest that. They might say, we don't get all this. We don't get all of that you've heard. From what I've seen and read, yeah, you do. And your entire family is here. There's an apartment block down the street from me. And I was talking to the building manager the other day, and he said to me, yeah, we've quietly stopped taking any immigrants into our building. First of all, because Canadians can't find a place to live right now. And secondly, because you rent a one-bedroom out. There's one name on that lease. Next thing you know, a month later, there's 9 of them living in there. And they bring bed bugs with them and their electronics. And next thing you know, you've got to have fumigators in. It's expensive, and you can't do anything once they're in. You can't do anything. Or you're racist. Now, I'm not going to say who it was or what company or what building even. Just telling you. It's crazy, man. And again, I am not anti-immigration. I think it's an important thing for any country. It's always been. But you got to have limits. And you got to vet the people who are coming in. You want the best people coming into your country. You don't want people coming in and taking a dump in the middle of the street thinking that's cool. Remember that story from last year? People taking dumps on the beach in Ontario? I forget what community it was. Was it Grand Bend? And a woman who lives on the beach, her yard is there, complains, and she gets called a racist, and her videos get taken from social media. Whoa. Where are we exactly? Where are we? All right, David Eby, the Premier of British Columbia. You know how Mark Carney's been talking a big game, major projects. We're building. We're going to be an energy superpower. But we're not getting rid of the oil tanker ban. David Eby's on board with that. Here is the idiot talking about wanting to build major projects, but not getting rid of the oil tanker ban that he's in favor of.
Tanker ban being reversed as part of a grand bargain to ship decarbonized oil through the north coast of British Columbia.
Well, I'll say this for Premier Smith from Alberta. She's an incredible advocate because you would never guess that there is no private proponent, there is no money, there's no project, there's no support from First Nations along the coast. In fact, nobody's talked to them. And this project is non-existent except for in the political discourse. In British Columbia, we have tens of billions of dollars in projects with private proponents that are ready to go, that need a strong federal partner. And unfortunately, because of this continuing push for this pipeline that doesn't actually exist in any meaningful way.
David, why do you think that there is no pipeline in the works currently? That no company has come forward and said, yeah, we'll invest $5 billion or $10 billion into a pipeline? Why? Because the regulations remain in place. Mark Carney wants to leave 90% of the oil and gas in the ground. You want to have an oil tanker ban, so even if we do get all of this stuff to the coast, there's not going to be any ships there to transport it. In the meantime, Vancouver Harbor is clogged with freighters daily. What is the matter with these people? They're virtue signaling us into poverty, man. There is an open letter written by 96 CEOs, mostly of oil companies, energy companies in this country, telling Mark Carney that he needs to get his head out of his ass and start doing something with oil and gas. They even laid out a plan for him. 96. Those companies altogether probably worth $1 trillion. Nothing. Canada has the 4th largest reserves in the world of oil and gas. 3rd or 4th. We should be one of the richest nations on this planet. And you go to the store and you want to buy a couple of steaks and it's $75 or $80. What the hell is going on here? Energy bills going up the wazoo. I know in Manitoba they're going up like huge in the next couple of months. Rents are going up by like 20% somehow. There used to be a regulation in place that said you cannot, as a landlord, raise rents any more than 1.6% yearly. But somehow, some companies have managed to, skip right over that. And they're raising rents in some areas, in some buildings by 20 or 25%. What? That's insane. Nickel and dimed to death in a controlled demolition of Canada's economy. That's what Mark Carney is doing right now to us. It's obvious. I mean, look at this. They've got $1 billion DEI sludge fund, the federal government does, according to Juno News. A Minecraft extremism study and intersectional virtual reality. Public Safety Canada gave the Royal United Services Institute for Defense and Security Studies $177,522 in 23-24 to study how gaming communities on Minecraft and Roblox lead to radicalization. Newly released federal records reveal more than $1.04 billion in taxpayer money has been directed to DEI across 29 departments and agencies. Let's see, what else have we got here? Documents tabled in the House of Commons in response to an inquiry of ministry outline spending on national initiatives and local community projects. June 3rd, 2023, the Canadian Women's Chamber of Commerce received $3.2 million under the Federal Women Entrepreneurship Strategy to develop virtual reality software allowing intersectional and women entrepreneurs to practice asking investors for money. The project reported that 244 diverse/intersectional and or underserved women were supported by the program in the fiscal year 24-25. One notable example is a $32,250 grant June 26, 2023 to Project Plowshares for a feminist spotlight on space insecurity, human implications of below-threshold conflict. The funding supports feminist research, and I'm sure men can apply for that too if they put a wig and a dress on. Feminist research into the sources of insecurity in outer space, purporting to reveal how a feminist stance on gender, race, and socioeconomic status can be applied to Canada's space program. I want every single dime of tax money that I have given the federal government over my lifetime returned to me tomorrow with interest. I want all of it back. Every penny. This report said that Western space exploration carries colonial patterns of exploitation and even calls phrases like manned spaceflight and frontier harmful because they perpetuate bias and erase Indigenous knowledge. Author Jessica West argues space governance needs an overhaul through an intersectional, decolonial, and humanitarian perspective, contending current programs like NASA's Artemis mission reflect patriarchal and racial hierarchies. This is all critical race theory, my friends. It's all critical race theory, and it's permeated its way into our society. It's everywhere. Do you work still? Are you retired? You go to work every day. Let's say you work in an office. They have seminars every 2 weeks, most companies these days, about the evils of being white. And some special teacher comes in or maybe virtually hosts these seminars. It's disgusting. They teach you to be guilty about your whiteness and that you're not allowed to say or do anything. The University of British Columbia received $500,000 September 11th, 2023 to operate a pan-Canadian parks and protected areas research network. The network will study park areas through the lens of equity, diversity, inclusion, and decolonization. Conservative MP Vincent Neil Ho, who requested the figures last spring, said, the sheer scale of the spending raises questions about whether taxpayer dollars are being used effectively and transparently. Raises questions. Are you kidding? Speaking of Vincent Ho, he was on a committee earlier this week. Hang on just a second. Yeah, at a House of Commons committee earlier this week with Harvard cognitive scientist Steven Pinker, who offered an academic warning saying DEI mandates can have a chilling effect on free inquiry on college campuses, high school, wherever. Here's part of that.
Directed at Mr. Pinker. So do you agree that universities should be a forum for the free exchange of ideas, including the discussion of dissenting opinions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Essential.
It is essential. You mentioned DEI quotas are a form of discrimination, effectively, and effectively a form of reverse discrimination. Do you agree that doing this sort of DEI checkbox and all these affirmative statements that they're now requiring in Canada has a chilling effect on research, because you're effectively shutting off half of the population from being able to participate in an honest way?
I think it can chill research in two ways. One of them is by excluding sectors of the population based on their sex or ethnicity or race. But the other is, on top of the preferences, there's a regime...
Wait. Sectors of the population, you mean white straight men? Dr. Pinker? Don't sugarcoat it. Give it to us straight.
That it is a criminal offense to criticize the policy of preferences. We've seen that in the United States. We've seen that in Canada, where people who cast doubt on the policy, who argue against it, get censured, get fired, get canceled. And that adds another layer of chill, probably a more severe chill.
Yeah, well, that's really unfortunate to hear. And that these liberal top-down policies effectively shut out half the population from being able to participate and effectively blocking high-quality research from being produced at some of the top institutions in the country.
Duh. Yeah, at least the conservatives are talking about it. Ronald on YouTube put this comment down. In 1954, John Diefenbaker put a law in so news media must report true and honest news, or fines and imprisonment will be enforced. Yes, he did, and Justin Trudeau quietly eliminated that law. I think it was in 2019, just before COVID hit. One more thing. Well, a couple more things, actually, but one more thing regarding this DEI nonsense. The Liberals spent $8.2 million of our dollars on gender-just, low-carbon rice in Vietnam. Gender-just, low-carbon rice in Vietnam. Good news. The Dutch Parliament has adopted a motion to classify Antifa as a terrorist organization. Awesome. Donald Trump is also threatening to do the very same thing in the United States, but they say it's going to be difficult to label Antifa as a whole as a terrorist organization because they're not really an organization. It's an idea. It's an ideology. There's disparate groups in different places all over who practice Antifa, kind of like witchcraft. But there's no real groups. Yeah, there are. There most certainly are. Look at these guys. They think they're the guy. Because they call themselves Antifa, anti-fascist. Even though we explained to you last night that fascist and Nazism are just brand names for authoritarianism, right? These people in their black leather jackets, their black military-looking garb with masks on, they're somehow the good guys. If you saw this, if you took your mother for a walk down the street and she saw these guys, she'd be terrified. They're the bad guys. Of course they are. Just because they call themselves anti-something doesn't make it so. They should be in Canada as well. I've got to get Karima Sad on. She did an expose on Antifa and all of their associated organizations. She did a podcast with the Bureau guy, Sam. And it's on the Bureau.news right now if you want to go look at it. But we got to get Karima on the show. It's been a long time. I mean, I want to ask her a bunch of stuff, but one of the things I really want to ask her, and we can ask Wycliffe this as well, and I've done it too, but I get too angry. I can't keep it up. That's why I admire people like Billboard Chris so much. You go into a crowd of Antifas, and you go in civilly. Just you want to ask them questions, and they blow horns in your face and stick umbrellas in your face and get right up in your face and yell and scream, megaphones and all that. You say, look, I just want to talk to you. I just want to ask you, what is this? But they won't allow it. She does that. And occasionally, not often, but occasionally she gets answers. But she's exposed them now. They're exposed. All of their stuff is on Discord. You just have to know how to access it. And yet, the Canadian government funds them through the Canadian Anti-Hate Network and other NGOs and I'm sure Karima's doing some digging on that. Yeah, we got to get her on. And Wycliffe knows a lot about that as well. But good news, Donald Trump is considering declaring Antifa a terrorist organization. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were apparently in the toilet. We told you yesterday that his show has been suspended indefinitely from ABC for the remarks he made regarding Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk the other night. So here's Donald Trump's comment.
Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Oh, speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, I've got a video from a few years ago to play for you. Just to back up what Trump said there. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Now, he used to be on a show called The Man Show with Adam Carolla years ago. And here's a clip from that.
Tell us what you think of the statue. I mean, do you think that she's attractive or not? Mm-hmm. Take another look at her.
Really? How did that guy ever get anywhere after that? Now, some people on the left might say, well, he was just playing a role. It was like a show called The Man Show. What are you supposed to do? You know what? Real men don't do that shit. What he was doing there in that video, we don't do that. I've never, not even when I was in my 20s, never done anything like so disrespectful like that. Never. It's never been my style. I've known a couple of guys who would do that, but you always let them have it when they do, because that's the man code. That guy deserves everything he gets. Finally, Turning Point USA has appointed Erica Kirk CEO after Charlie was killed last week. This honors his prior wishes expressed to executives. The conservative youth organization focused on promoting free speech and limited government on campuses has experienced a surge in interest since Kirk's fatal shooting last week at Utah Valley University, receiving over 54,000 inquiries to start new chapters, more than double previous records, and rapid local membership growth. Erica Kirk, who pledged to expand Turning Point USA significantly in her first public address, assumes leadership amid widespread conservative support and preparations for a major memorial event coming up on the 21st at Arizona's State Farm Stadium. Cool. So last night, I said that Nazis, fascists, it's brand names for authoritarianism, totalitarian dictatorships, right? It is. It's centralization of power. Ultimately, it's control of everything. Speech, everything, movement, all of it. So then who are the real fascists or Nazis? Okay, that's one thing. Marxism, communism, both the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Dr. James Lindsay would argue that. He's an expert on all of this stuff. He's studied the writings of Vladimir Lenin, Karl Marx, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, all of them. He knows everything there is to know about communism and about Marxism. He's done some fantastic speeches, addresses, podcasts on this very topic. And, you know, now that our show is growing in numbers, I'm happy to report we have a better chance at getting big names like that on the show for interviews. So I am working on that behind the scenes right now. Tonight, on a podcast yesterday called Dad Saves America, Dr. James Lindsay is talking about how Marxism, communism has infiltrated our schools and ruined at least one generation of kids, maybe more, and how we can fight back against it. So that's coming up in the extension tonight for the All Access folks on shadowdavis.com. Become one. Get the monthly or yearly package. You save money if you get the yearly package. The Shadow Store is opening very, very soon. Still designing some things, winter things, Christmas things. It's going to be awesome. Shadowdavis.com. Go to the website, become a member. And don't forget to join the Telegram community. Shadow at Night community on Telegram. We would love to see you back there. We continue the chat after the show. The social media part of the show is over in the extension. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I will talk to you again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central. Have a great night. Thanks to Katie for coming on tonight through this difficult time. Hopefully some miracle, some awesome miracle happens and CFIA does not come in and kill those 400 ostriches. In case you missed it earlier in the show, that is the plan. We heard that through a contact. that is going to be happening on Saturday. CFIA goons are going to be rolling in to kill these ostriches over a 3-day period, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Silver is amazing. It has several natural health benefits, and it's been used for hundreds of years for health and healing. That's the main reason they made silverware from silver. But seriously, this nano silver from Silverceuticals is the best and safest silver you can find. There are hundreds of studies and reports on it. I've read some of the studies myself, and it's mind-blowing. One of the things that sets Silverceuticals apart is that it washes out of your body in 24 hours. No silver buildup and no turning blue. And it won't even harm the good bacteria your body needs. It's so effective they can use very small concentrations of silver, like 10 and 32 parts per million, and still outperform other silvers that have up to 3,000 parts per million. It's safer and more effective at the same time. It is an incredibly small particle that is small enough to work through your body, but big enough not to fall out of suspension. They infuse it into almost all of their products. It works in facial serums, toothpaste, gels, and even gummies that work to help your immune system.